Salut Forth Paladins, and welcome back to another episode of Starfleet Command, Orion Pirates. I'm Admiral Tarek of the Dreadnought HMS Hurdle, as we continue our campaign against the Lyran Star Empire, and we have been focusing most of our efforts on what I was originally calling the Trinary, but really there are several planets in one distinct group in the middle of Lyran space that are right next to each other, and so they're all helping to defend each other, and we are trying to crack that right now. And one of the ways that we want to crack that is with some brand new and extremely powerful battleship carriers that unfortunately have still not come to the front of the line. A little bit unfortunate, sad to say. However, our current Paladin class dreadnought has been doing a bang-up job of smashing its way through the enemy, so let us quickly restock ourselves, prepare ourselves for even more battle before we set off to continue to keep the pressure down on the Lyrans all stocked up there and into space. We do want to keep sort of a full secure going on here of this little group. This has become mainly our base of operations, along with, that planet up there. And, oh wow, we found the Lyran homeworld. Alrighty, so we have two planets relatively close to the Lyran homeworld, it would appear, and that should help spread our influence. Also, it does mean that the Lyrans will be pushing back on our influence quite heavily, so we're going to want to smash this planet as soon as possible. Getting ourselves up to speed, preparing to overload the fusion cannon. Today we're being escorted by the Transwine, a Marak heavy carrier of some description, and the Skin Drum, which is another Marak vessel. Looks like we're being escorted by quite a few Marak ships. He is an XDD, so an advanced destroyer, and he is a battlecruiser carrier. Squaring off against us, however, is a heavy cruiser, but not just any cruiser. It is an XCB, an advanced bombardment cruiser with all of the best weapons in the Lyran arsenal. So worst for us, best for them. We're going to reinforce the forward shield and kick up the ECM to the absolute maximum level. Luckily for us, the planet is an undefended PL6, so we won't have to worry about that, but there is a light cruiser, which is an X-class scout, so the Lyrans busting out the advanced technology to defend the homeworld. Hopefully we'll be able to smash through them before they can do anything. Let us send a probe to find out exactly what it is we're about to get involved with. I'm not super familiar with the heavy cruisers of the Lyrans. I mostly gravitate towards their battleships at this point, simply because lots of phasers, heavy weapons. But what does their X-type heavy cruiser have? We are looking at no less than, holy crap, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 disruptors? Holy crap! That may very well be B11 battleship level of disruptors. That's more than a little ridiculous. I'm not seeing any ESG Lance, which is a little bit disappointing. He's got 2 ESGs and then backs it up with 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 Phaser X's and 2 Gatling Phasers. That is a really interesting ship, and I know I basically rid it off several times in a row because I didn't really think it was all that dangerous, if I'm completely honest, but it is the XCB, not the XCA, so all them disruptors. Apparently he decided I was not worth firing absolutely everything at us. We're going to have to dispel that notion because he didn't fire 4 of his disruptors my way. So it does good with the Skin Drum getting in close, starting to lash out at him. No real damage was dealt, but that's alright. We do know that he's got an ESG, or at least we believe it's an ESG, and not a Lance. The Scout opening fire with his heavy phasers, and still able to bounce most of that fire off the forward shield. He has no defense for what we're about to bring to him. So let's open fire. So, we should not have done just about that, because then he was able to come in with his ESGs and just bore right through that. So should have waited a little bit, but on the other hand, we're in a really nice position to continue the aggression up against, well, what are you called? The Blood Spiller? Yeah, we're in a pretty nice position to continue to engage the Blood Spiller. Now, the Blood Spiller has deployed a Wild Weasel shuttle, so he will now lose all of his initiative, basically, as he sits still and waits for things to happen. And we're just going to slowly make... Oh, he decided to open fire, so we're going to return it. So we were trying to get a little bit of damage in. He's chunking down our shields quite well. The X-type heavy cruiser being in a fantastic line of ships. However, there is an opening. Deploy the fighters. So they should be able to get in there without too much trouble at all. And hopefully they're focusing their fire on the Blood Spiller itself and not the Blood Spiller pseudo-frigate complement. That would be my desperate hope and plea. And here comes the Ferocious, just ripping through the fight at a maximum speed. And there goes the X-type heavy cruiser. Lovely. And now we can start getting to work on the X-type destroyer. X-type destroyer, of course, going to be dealing a lot of damage to us from medium-ish range. And how are we doing on fighters? Let's get them to harass him. Yeah, we'll set him to harass for now. That way they won't get too close. But he is really ripping into us, cutting open all of our armor, getting a lot done to our shields. but we were able to nail him with a full-on fusion cannon pass, and still taking a lot of damage from that one. We're going to have to keep ahead on these repairs. I want phasers. Wow, that seemed to be a little bit longer range than usual, but I suppose you're extra small, so it's a little bit more difficult to judge your size. Continue to come around, focus on the phasers first, then I want Hellbore's fusion cannon, and that should be fine. You need to come home, my little friend. You have taken much too much damage, and I don't want to lose you, so return to me. It instantly snaps back inside because it was a range of 0. And this, he's got a lot of phaser firepower. Let's see. Oh, luckily for us, he's being shot at by the Ferocious, and he deployed all... How many MIRV launchers do you have for a destroyer? Is that 2? It is, so he's got 2 MIRVs and 4 normal missiles. That is a pretty impressive armament for a destroyer. The amount of fake missiles that he can throw out is pretty remarkable. So he has stopped being super fast and is now vulnerable to incoming fire. He has not accelerated past the speed where he will be able to defend himself, but he did manage to bust out his ESG in perfect defensive timing. We're about to come in with our fusion cannons at point-blank range, which is exactly where they want to be. Hello! And able to cut through his shields and cause quite a bit of damage. We have no Gatling phasers at the moment, so we're going to have to pass on through. Hopefully we can get outside of a range of 3 before we can shoot back. And we did. Lucky for us. We're going to try and get this shield to interpose. Oh, in a point-blank range, nailing by the skin drum. Just soaring in there and dumping his entire missile complement right in the face of that X-type destroyer. Oh, the carnage was unbelievable before the Transwine could come in and completely annihilate him. So the Marak really pulling their own on that one, able to come in and help out the fight, and, you know, firing off some fireworks just as a bit of a celebratory thing. We really tanked a ton of damage. We're going to have to go back home for more repair and refit. Just too much damage has been taken by the ship. So we're also going to have to get all of the things repaired at this point, because we're missing quite a few of our siege weapons. But then again, we did fight an XCB, and XCBs really are kind of on almost battleship levels of firepower. And the amount of firepower that he was able to throw our way was pretty rough. And we're not a battleship. I mean, the Paladin class battleship is definitely one of the earlier battleships. So we're not exactly the most amazing thing in space. I mean, it's a cool ship, don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day, well, there are other ships. Oh, let's call back our Hornet Squadron to make sure that he does not get lost. And you know what? We can open fire immediately with these. Oh, slow down and get ready for a crash stop, because I don't want to get within a range of 3. So crash stop got us all nice and stopped, and now we can just start opening fire. We're going to need to work down these Marines until we get them down to number 2. That way they can't defend themselves against all of the incoming fire. But it's going to take a little time. Unfortunately, that does mean our Gatling phasers don't get in range, and that's a little bit sad because Gatling phasers are hilariously fun. But we will manage to deal with it. How's the repairs coming? Well, we're working on it. We got a Hellbore, a Fusion Cannon, and a Phaser X still left to fix up, but other than that, we should be good. Just continuing to plink away with the phasers, knock their systems offline, knock out their Marine battalions wherever they may happen to be on the planet. Distance of 3 really is not the distance you want to be crash stopping at in order to prevent yourself from smashing into the planet. That could have been really close and ugly. Luckily for us, it wasn't. So just continue to plink away and do the light damage that we can. Lucky for us, this planet was not actually defended, because if it was, this would be a much more difficult thing after all the damage that we took in that battle. So not doing terribly at all. Actually, what I should do, just for additional accuracy, is do maximum electronic countermeasure. But by this point, we've already blasted through it. Alright, send over the Marines. Alright, our Marines will secure the planet. We will have everything fully completed. At least that's the plan. So slowly drift around to the side so we can start heading away soon-ish. Cross your fingers. And as soon as our Marines finish grabbing everything on that planet, we will be able to move on out of here. There we go. And the fighters immediately teleported back home because, well, that way it does it properly. I gotta figure out if there's a mass launch, mass return button. Just in case, you know, in case we want to immediately return everybody before the mission ends. So they teleport back. 670 prestige is our reward. Empire defense is 76, but that's kind of to be expected. After all, it is the home world. So we'll pop back to one of our friendly planets that we currently hold, because we are much better than them, and we'll go to the shipyard. Hi, we are still looking for an XCB, or not an XCB, I want an MNRV, or MNV? MNV. Unfortunately, it's just still not there. Oh, that's several levels of pain. There is, of course, the XCF, which is packing 4 G2 Gatling phasers, which would be an interesting pickup, but I'm gonna be honest, I would much rather have a Monarch-class battleship carrier. So 170 out of repair plus an additional 8 on that one. Quite a few spare parts was spent on that one. But we wanted to make sure that we could actually get our way home should we happen to be interdicted before we actually made it there. I don't think we lost any fighters, which is excellent. So send back into space and keep the pressure on. Hello, homeworld. Shipboard assault this time. Okay. So we're not going to be able to have a flashy assault on an actual planet. Instead, we're going to have to assault less than that. Alright, so we are squaring off against a frigate and a heavy cruiser, and we are scared today once again by the Transwine, except the Transwine is no longer a battlecruiser carrier. No, you see, the Transwine has become a Merak X-type heavy cruiser, which is pretty considerable in its own right. It's not the most powerful of the Merak ships, but it definitely has a couple of things going for it. There's also a BCX over here. Capital X means that it's got much more of the standard X-type equipment on board, instead of, well, scrounging around with just X-type phasers. And then their little tiny ship, the frigate, is a PFTX. So, little X, as you can see, which just means that his phaser X's have been refitted into, or his phaser ones have been refitted into phaser X's. Not a huge upgrade, but actually no, I take that completely back. It is a huge upgrade, especially for the evil Empire races, the Klingons, the Lyrans. A little less so for the Romulans, but then again, when it comes to the Romulans, every little bit helps. Mainly because the Klingons and the Lyrans especially make use of Phaser 2s, a pretty decent number of Phaser 2s at that, and the Phaser 2 is just not nearly as effective as the Phaser 1. However, once given access to the Phaser X, all Phaser 2s and Phaser 1s become Phaser X's, which is a dramatic increase in firepower. So we're going to overload the Hellbores on this one, and also remember to get the forward shield reinforced to a level that is acceptable, because my plan is to run somebody over. I don't anticipate I'm going to have to actually fight the PFT, because I know just how crazy powerful Merak X-type heavy cruisers can be. He's not an XCB, and he doesn't have anything other than basic missiles, at least I don't think he does. But it's still going to be a rather ridiculous amount of firepower that he's going to be able to put out. So let's see how much power I can sap from the shield budget. There's a little bit in there. So we're going to steal from it so we can go after this BCX. Not quite certain what he's got, but we're too close at this point to want to spend the point of power to try and deploy the probe on him. So as we head towards him, we can quickly glance back over here. How's this fight going? Already a shield is down, but it's quite clear that the Transwine has not actually engaged with his missiles. One, I didn't hear the missile launch, and two, he's still alive. Had he opened fire, well, that would not be the case. So the BCX coming right in for us. We are fully prepared. In fact, we're going to make sure we have the fusion cannon selected, or not the fusion cannons, the Hellbore selected, and a little bit of plinking fire from those INTs. It's irritating, but it's not drastic yet. Alright, here it comes. He is within range. Are you not going to do it? He's not going to do it. Okay, phasers. Oh, crap, I didn't overload the phasers. Well, they'll be ready for this follow-up shot. Let us... Yep, and he deployed his thingy, his ESG, outside of normal envelopes. So drop that mine. Increase the speed. And I think we'll launch the fighters in defend me mode. Got to get cleared off of all these guys because there are quite a few of them, and they can be a little bit dangerous. So let's just have them annihilate everybody around me, just to take a little bit control of the space, and then we'll call them back home. And let's start calling him back home right now. So you, return to me. As you pass through, you should have no trouble. You're still at 4, so you're fine. And we just need to avoid the ESG. Actually, by the way, as long as I'm passing by you. Okay. And set it back to overload. So we've managed to take out, I think, all of the pseudo-frigates around us, so that works out. Oh, nope, not quite. And we're coming back in on him, which is unfortunate. Especially because he's about to activate another one. Oh, we're just getting really minced down by these guys. I think we're going to have to call the fighters off. Go attack. Attack him as best as you can, because we really need to get some damage going down on him. Our Dreadnought is old and kind of out of date at this point. How are you not killing him yet? You are a gosh darn Merak X-type heavy cruiser. You should have him annihilated basically in one pass. Lucky for us, our fighters are incredibly reliable and amazing, so we don't have to worry about things like this. Let's see if I can't knock that thing offline before he's able to actually turn it on. I was not, and he came in for a big bump right there, which was very unfortunate because we took a lot of damage on it. Luckily, we were able to pass by, deal quite a bit of damage on that one, though we have lost quite a few systems on that starboard side, which, by the way, we're turning towards. Call the fighters home. Get back home, I don't want you dead. It's important. We're not there we go. Alright, did you take out your friend? I think he did. Yes, he did. Okay, so we've managed to deal with all the incoming enemies, which is fine. Unfortunately, we've lost most of the ship, which is not fine. So the X era definitely demonstrating why you really want X-type kit. Because capital X right there was able to just really cut through us. We don't quite have the armor and the heavy weapons to deal with that sort of thing. Although if we had stayed at a longer range and just sort of plinked with the enemy, we probably would have been fine. So probably should have taken that into account, and we didn't.
Repairing warp engines.
Ah, the Transwine. You are just under so much ridiculous amounts of fire. You should be able to handle it, just because you are a Merak X-type heavy cruiser. This is, the first playthrough I did of the Merak, I ended up going into one of these ships, I believe. And the reason ended up being was because the heavy bombardment cruiser, which does have even more missiles than that, didn't have any point defense systems, or had reduced point defense systems. And at the time we were fighting the Lyrans? Huh. Well, I don't know why I did it then. Okay, we need to slow down the speed of time because we're getting bombarded and it's a bit of a problem. Okay, we're really getting shelled out here. Well, this is a tad unfortunate. Let's go over here and just protect me. So we do have a couple of problems that we have to deal with. Mainly lots of incoming fire. So he decided he was going to Wild Weasel that one, but this second salvo will definitely get on through. Oh, it's just a beautiful sight, and the fact that he can take care of all of that. So we're going to vector in on this. Hi, repairs, we still need more. I sometimes forget that even these missile ones can still be dangerous if you're trying to just go through as fast as you can, which we are. We're not taking the appropriate time that we normally would require to do this properly. But I would like to get the mission finished sooner rather than later. I'm not a huge fan of shipyard assaults, as you may or may not have heard. There we go, the first one's down. Lovely. Increase the speed of time. Oh wow, lots of fireworks on that one. MIRVs. MIRVs are the greatest thing in this game. One of the most powerful weapon systems, and also just, in general, pretty gosh darn beautiful. Are we set to repair everything? Because I'd really like to be set to repair everything. You had to fire basically 6 times in order to hit that. Alright, slow down the speed. So we are going to hopefully take out all of his defenses. And what I really wish I could do... Ooh, hurt ourselves a little bit on that one. I don't think we stunned off his defenses, though. Ow. We might get killed by this Stardock if we're not careful. We have taken a lot of damage in this mission. Took a lot of damage in the last mission. So I don't know if my play is being a little bit off for some reason, or if the enemy really is just sort of tired of our capabilities and has learned how to counter them. That would be an interesting question to come up with an answer. Keep firing, just in general, hit him with everything you've got. Knock out his tractor beam, make him hopeless and helpless and defenseless. You've got to be out of MIRVs, aren't you? Yeah, he's out of missiles in general, which means no awesome, helpful salvos. Alright, on to the last Klingon Stardock. Let's increase the speed of time and just start heading on over there. Okay, all power systems have been repaired. And it does look like we're going to fix most of our systems now. So now we just got to wait for all the things to be fixed. I really don't need the Halbors overloaded, overcharged, but I'm not going to bother undoing it because they'll do a lot of damage, and hopefully that'll allow us to take out the target sooner. Long-range disruptor fire coming down from the XIII. It's kind of a shame that he doesn't have better missiles, because if he did, he'd be an absolute monster. I mean, we've seen what a player-run XCB can do to the AI in this game. We took on the Romulans and, well, basically had no trouble at all with them. The amount of missiles that we could just hurl at them meant we could take on targets much, much larger than we were. I don't think the same could be said for the Hydran XCB. I mean, it's a decent ship. It's got a ton of Hellbore launchers on it, but it's not astonishing like one would hope. Alright, open fire. Okay, we're just gonna sit here and siege him out, and he can blink away all he wants with his silly little 2 phaser 2s. Can you imagine if these were X-type Stardocks? They would have phaser X's on board, and it would be rough. Now the shield down, we'll just gently and steadily whittle them down. He has been damaging my forward shield, so there is that going on. So he could actually drop it if he was allowed to shoot enough times into it. And I think we took it out. Yep. Will you be able to defend yourself? Nope. Taken out by the Merak. Ah, c'est la vie for the Lyrans. Although I suppose that was a Klingon Stardock, wasn't it? Because the Lyran Stardock wouldn't have had missiles. Lyran Stardocks are just thoroughly disappointing, like most Lyran ships. Then again, I shouldn't say that. The Lyrans have been kicking our butt, let's be completely honest. The ship is in, well, a lot of damage. I'd like to sell it for something new. Mainly in MNRV, or an MNVX, preferably. Nope. Still nothing. We have just been hunting and hunting and hunting and absolutely not finding, which is a real shame because I'm a real fan of the ship. How much would an XCB be? Because we're starting to get to that point where we could afford an XCB and an XCA, and the MNV, all without breaking the bank at all. Now, unfortunately, there isn't one anyway. So let's quickly just set up the supplies, fully rekit on that one. Fighters we're good on, shuttles we're good on. Gotta get a mine back, 7 marines, and pretty decent number of spare parts. It's a lot of spare parts. But we're good again. Fully kitted out. Still making cash on this one. We're at 20,204 prestige. This is getting kind of ridiculous. Please give us the MNV already, because we'd really like it. And we're starting to surround the Lyran homeworld, which is quite nice. Anyway, that's going to do it for today's episode. I've been Tarek. If you like what you've been seeing, hit that like button and subscribe before I see a notification every time I post one of these videos. Press that little bell icon. Leave a comment, and I will see you all in the next episode.